If you've ever taught a class, you probably know the feeling of standing at the front of the room, completely exhausted. Sometimes, running a traditional classroom feels exactly like throwing a stressful formal dinner party. As the host, you are expected to set the house rules. Everyone must sit up straight, use the correct salad fork, and speak at a polite volume. In a classroom, that often means enforcing a rigid syllabus, strict behavior, and one specific way of speaking. But when your guests show up, your students, they might not know your rules, or they might feel completely out of place trying to follow them. When they struggle to adapt to this foreign environment, it's easy for us to get frustrated and say they're simply not motivated. But blaming a student's drive misses the point. We are asking them to play a game where they had no say in writing the rules. There is an old academic idea that students are like little accountants, constantly weighing the work against the reward. The theory says they only work for a grade or to avoid a punishment. It's the classic carrot and stick. But humans are messier than that. Students walk into a room with rich histories and lived experiences that don't always align with a narrow, mechanical reward system. For many, a letter grade doesn't speak to what they actually value. Real motivation is a natural, built-in human drive. We are all wired from birth to seek out goals and make sense of our world. It's not a magical trait that some kids are born with and others are not. So if the rewards and punishments aren't working, the student isn't the problem. It's that the environment we built is actually getting in the way of their natural curiosity. To fix this, we have to rethink the dinner party. Instead of a stiff, formal gathering, imagine a neighborhood co-op or a potluck. Everyone brings their own ingredients, everyone shares the cooking, and everyone owns the space together. This co-op style of teaching is called culturally sustaining pedagogy. It treats the classroom as a shared project rather than a list of house rules. This approach works because it connects the lesson to a student's actual life. It values the knowledge they bring from their own communities, rather than asking them to leave those parts of themselves at the door. To make this classroom a community, you need 4 essential ingredients. You need inclusion, where everyone feels they belong; attitude, where students choose what to contribute; meaning, where the work matters; and competence, where they see themselves getting better. You can't force these feelings with a seating chart. They emerge only when a student's identity is respected and used as a foundation for the entire class. Swapping out a textbook for a more diverse one is a start, but the real change happens in who holds the power in the room. We must step away from the idea of one correct way to hold knowledge. Move focus from a dominant standard toward a network where everyone's perspective carries weight. Here, you make room for different life stories, co-creating knowledge instead of just delivering it. For many students who often feel entirely powerless against big structural injustices, walking into a traditional classroom can feel like just another place where they don't have a voice. This shift in power changes that dynamic. When you dismantle that old hierarchy, students realize their backgrounds are assets. They see they have genuine influence and they lean into the work. Let's look at what this looks like in practice. Instead of handing out a syllabus as a final contract, you can present it as a draft and ask the class to negotiate the details with you. You can hand them a grading rubric and explain it's just a starting point. Ask them what they think counts as success, and then revise the document based on their feedback. Instead of policing every tiny language error, you can validate the different ways they communicate. You evaluate their critical thinking and their data, rather than punishing them for how they use a sentence. Collaborative rulemaking takes the mystery out of the academic experience. It shows students that you trust them, which builds a classroom grounded in mutual respect. When students help shape how they are assessed, the work feels personal. They take ownership of the project, and the drive to finish comes from the students themselves. Trying to be the perfect host and enforce every tiny rule is exhausting, but being a facilitator in a co-op is energizing. There is a profound relief in realizing you don't have to carry the entire burden of the classroom. You don't have to be the sole gatekeeper of the truth. You don't have to manufacture excitement when you allow students to bring their full, authentic selves to the work. Their own natural curiosity does the heavy lifting. The goal of education isn't to drag a student across a finish line. It's to build a shared space where their natural human drive can finally take the lead.